I have a feeling that this might be an agate. I sure hope so, because if it is, it's a good one. Oh, I think it is.
So many beautiful rocks. That's a nice thing to find on my way out.
Hey everybody, it's Kate from Katie Did Rocks, and I am at Forsyth, Montana at the river. The river is still pretty darn high, but we're gonna see if we can find some rocks and gravel by going on some of the higher ground. So let's see what we find. The river is quite high still. It was up to 9 feet. It currently is at about 4.5 at this site, which means that that's where they have a thing that measures the river. And 9 feet was the highest, or 8.5 feet, I guess, this year. And it was dropping and dropping and dropping. I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna have so much gravel, and then it stopped. So I'm not sure how much longer we have until the true fall comes, but I know we can find some gravel anyway. Grass is kind of ridiculously tall right here, and I feel like I'm going through the jungle. Well, it's not very much gravel, but it's gravel. Maybe we'll find something fun. Well, here we have the first agate of the day. As you probably know if you've watched before, I always pick these up because I feel that it's the sign of good things to come. This is pretty cool. This is a really nice banded chert. This stuff is very similar. Jasper and chert are basically the same. They have the same chemical and mineral composition. They just have different coloring agents, and that's basically how they're different. Nope. This is very interesting. This is it's just chalcedony, I guess, but it's just got some cool kind of colors in it. I like it. I found these two banded jaspers right next to each other. Very cool. This is really interesting. This is a jasper, but it looks very, very much like a picture jasper. Look at that. Well, we'll have to take that one home with us. This gravel has definitely been wet, but I don't know for how long. As I said, the river got up to about 8.5 feet, and it wasn't there for very long. It was kind of a sharp peak. So this stuff might have just gotten jumbled around just a tiny little bit. I'm not finding very much petrified wood, which is usually very common, and that tells me that maybe this gravel just kind of got washed around a little bit, but not super tumbled around and brought a whole bunch of new rocks to the top because it hasn't had that kind of depth of water over it. We're still finding some nice stuff, but it's surprising that there's so little petrified wood. Of course, as soon as I say that, I take a few steps and find this cool little piece of petrified wood. Aren't the streaks in it neat? Here's a little agate. This one came pre-tumbled. Isn't that pretty? This is very cool. This is part of a chert nodule, and you can see the kind of the rainbow looking outer edge. This was a whole pocket one time, and it's broken since then. It creates these beautiful bands. I really like this stuff. You might wonder why I say that about petrified wood. I explain it a little more thoroughly in my book, So Many Beautiful Rocks. But basically, petrified wood is pretty easy to spot. And so if an area has been hunted heavily, the petrified wood is likely to be completely gone, because that's kind of the easiest thing. The first thing people notice when they are looking for rocks, even when they're starting to learn how to look for rocks, is petrified wood, because it looks just like wood. It's easy to spot. So if there isn't any wood in an area, it's probably been hit pretty hard. I seem to be really hitting the banded chert today. Look at those stripes. Can you imagine a cabochon made out of slabs of this stuff? That is just beautiful. I've learned from experience that the orange on here is actually river staining, but the inside is going to be very pretty. This is a cool kind of blue chalcedony. It's been broken either by the river or by a hammer. You see it's in layers there, and it makes a lovely kind of blue color on the top. This is a piece of porphyry, and usually when the river is low, I would kind of turn my nose up at this stuff because it's pretty common, and it's some of it, not this stuff because this has more white in it, but the stuff that's really dark mimics agate when it's covered with silt, and it looks just like it, so I call it devil stone. But I really like the look of this, and I want to take it home, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do a video on slabbing and making things out of kind of the ugly ducklings of the rock world. This is some really beautiful jasper. Look at the color on that. Oh boy, that is gorgeous. It's got a little bit of banding in it, some layers of quartz. Yep, coming home with me. Here's a nice little agate. It's a waterline agate. I was gonna say it's not very clear, but the reason it's not very clear is because it's got waterline. That's a nice find. Beautiful. This one caught my eye because of the quartz band. I'm just really curious to see what it is. It's a sandwich. It's a rock sandwich. Oh, that's really neat. I wouldn't say it's really excellent agate on top or the bottom, but the quartz vein is really beautiful in between. I bet that would be lovely sitting on a window or something like that. I have a feeling that this might be an agate. I sure hope so, because if it is, it's a good one. Oh, I think it is. Hard to tell when it's so dark. Well, let's see. Let's wash it off. You know, I'm gonna have to take that one home and slice it open because it's still sort of unknown. It might be a really great agate, or it might be nothing at all. Those definitely look like tubes. Unfortunately, I cut this one this way because I thought it was going to be a really good agate inside, and so I had an idea of making a specimen out of it. Now it's going to be kind of hard to actually cut the slabs because they'll have to be teeny little slabs like that. But it looks like it really might be something that's worth pursuing. That's a surprise. Speaking of dark agates, I think this is what they call a root beer agate. Look at how dark that is. Very cool. We are almost to the point where we have to leave the beach, and I found this. Walked right past it. Of course, it was down by the water, and I was up closer to the grass. But that is a nice old chunk of petrified wood, and look at the colors. It's got some nice variation in there. That is really nice. Well, there weren't very many agates, but we sure found some beautiful rocks. And we got to be out in the sun, enjoy the fresh air, Kava got to sniff. Pretty much it was all excellent. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Thanks for coming along. This is Kate from Katie Did Rocks. Keep on doing.